All right. Hello. So today we are going to be going into our music workshop. This is kind of just like going over some basics and kind of just to like help give a bit of insight, I guess, into making your own music for your games. So for this presentation, we're kind of just going to first go into like a bit of music theory, kind of just like a bit of an introduction to it, as well as some basics. Music in video games, specifically relating to any of its like advantages or limitations. How to make your own music for games, including like any software or hardware needed, figuring out like the kind of sounds you want, even considering like some optional additions to your music. And we will be topping it all off with a brief songwriting activity. So, with that being said, let's get into starting with music theory. So, what is music theory? Essentially, it's kind of just like the framework of rules commonly used in music. It covers topics ranging from like rhythm, tempo, chords and chord progressions, key signatures, time signatures, a lot of stuff, pretty much. Another way to think about it is kind of like the why of music, so to speak. So, like, for instance, why is it that like a lot of sad songs tend to go at this tempo, or maybe why is it that this chord progression sounds so mysterious? Believe it or not, there kind of is like generally a reason for why music tends to fall into these like identifiable patterns of like why it sounds like this, and it's kind of just built up from like centuries and centuries of people just pretty much writing music and experimenting with sounds. Now, you may be asking yourself, do I need music theory to write music? To that, I say, absolutely not. There are tons and tons of musicians, or really just a lot of artists in general, who were never like, properly educated in like the correct theory, and were able to just make do with what they do by just like trial and error and stuff like that. In fact, some people may even say like music theory almost like holds you back by setting up these like arbitrary rules in music, which, to be honest, isn't entirely wrong. Um, Kind of just a lot of what is going to be covered here is more so like a recommendation rather than anything else. Mainly if you just like aren't really that familiar with writing music. Um, However, knowing theory definitely does help, and it can eliminate some of that need for like that trial and error sort of steps. But with that being said, let's get into some basics of theory, starting with the tempo. So, tempo of music is measured in BPM, or beats per minute. 120 BPM tends to be like a common median depending on the genre you're working with. Like a lot of different digital audio workstations, which I'll go into more detail about what those are later. A lot of them tend to set the default BPM to like 120. So that's usually like a good starting spot if you're like trying to gauge what speed you want your music to be. Kind of a good rule of thumb that I kind of like to go with is that slower songs tend to have less energy, while faster songs tend to have kind of like more energy, pretty much. Um, this is kind of just because like faster songs are able to squeeze in more beats in the amount of time that they have, so pretty much just means more sound. And so, like a quick little example of a slow song is this track. This is from Animal Crossing: New Leaf. Um, for the sake of like possible copyright issues and also just like general interest, I tried keeping these audio clips to about like 10 seconds or less. But yeah, as you heard, the song was like pretty calm, soft, and just overall not like that much energy to it. And then like another song we have here, this is from Castle Crashers. So obviously, these two songs are like pretty dramatically different in terms of like instrumentation and also just the style that they're both going for. But the idea is still kind of there that because the song is so much faster, it's able to include a lot more notes in it, a lot more sound into it. And therefore, it kind of just creates a bit more like higher energy compared to the first one.
Castle Crashers is based as hell.
So real, so real. Now, next up is the time signatures. So, time signatures, they're essentially just like how many and what type of beats are in a measure. So, honestly, about like 99% of the music you tend to hear, it's either going to be in 4/4 or 3/4. 4/4 just being like four quarter notes in a measure, and then 3/4 being three quarter notes in a measure. So, just like go into a quick example of 4/4. This is a song from Persona 4. It's called Signs of Love. So yeah, like in that song, you could kind of hear like a strong first and third beat with the bass hits, and then you could also hear like the snare on the second and fourth beats. Like I said, most music you tend to hear is gonna be in 4/4, just because it's like a pretty easy pattern to follow, both for the composer and also the listener. And then an example of 3/4 is this track from Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker. So you could kind of hear there, like 3/4 is often used to put like a stronger emphasis on like just the first beat, which you could hear with like kind of in that song, the first note in the measure was either like the longest note or it was just the only note in that measure. Now, if you are looking to branch out a little bit, there's like tons and tons of time signatures you can choose from. For instance, 6/8 is a group of 6/8 notes. Generally, it kind of acts as like a almost like a combination of 2/4 and 3/4, where there's kind of like two strong beats that are broken up into like triplets of eighth notes. So here's a track from Amori that uses 6/8. I kind of like that song. It's got just like a nice waltzy sort of feel to it. Now, the more unique time signatures you dive into, the harder it can get to create beat patterns that kind of like sound nice. So, like if you're going into some ones like 7/8, 5/4, 13/8, but this is especially tricky if you're doing like mixed meter, which is basically just like bouncing between time signatures, either like every measure or every few measures. My personal favorite example of this is in the third sanctuary from Deltarune. Pretty much the first part of this is, or sorry, it like kind of alternates between 11/8 and 12/8 time signatures. Some people also just call it like 23/8 for simplicity, but yeah, this is kind of what that sounds like. But yeah, something like that is going to be tricky to have like a nice consistent melody that you can perhaps like bob your head to. But when it is done right, it can sound really incredible, in my opinion. All right, next up, we are going into key signatures. These kind of just like basically detail what notes can be used in your song. Traditionally, there are 12 chromatic notes, A through G, or I guess technically A through G sharp. But going into a major or minor key kind of brings that number down to just 7 notes. So you can include notes that like aren't in the key signature. Those would be like accidentals, or that's what they're called, accidentals. But it can be like a little tricky to sort of make it blend well with the rest of the notes that you're using. Sort of the easiest way to differentiate between like major and minor keys is that major keys are often described as sounding almost like brighter or happier, so to speak. whereas minor keys tend to sound almost like darker and more sad. Uh, Personally, I'm not a big fan of describing like key signatures as happy or sad. I think there's a lot more nuance to it when it comes to like specific keys or like what you want to use that key signature for. Although generally, like kind of just the most straightforward way to think about it is just happy and sad. Um, and so like a good example of a major key is this song from Doki Doki Literature Club. So as you can see here, the notes there were like overall pretty like friendly sounding and almost created like this happy kind of vibe. And then an example of a minor key is this track from Persona 3 Reload. If you're like not that familiar, Persona 3 is kind of just like a a really dark and depressing game in general, but I think this song really drives that point home by using these like this specific combination of notes. It kind of just makes it feel like the world is super like sad and gloomy. Alrighty, and next up is melody and harmony. So, melody is kind of best described as like the notes that move in a song, and they tend to be like the most easily heard. 9 out of 10 times, the melody is the sound that you remember the most, and usually it's like what you will like sing or hum along to. So, I guess like a quick example of that would be the main theme from Halo 3. So, like, as you heard, it was kind of just one sound, one melody. You don't really need multiple sounds to make music. You could very easily make a memorable track with just melody like this one. However, the same generally can't be said about harmony. Harmony sort of describes like the secondary sounds, so to speak, and is expressed as notes being played together. So, like, harmony is used to almost reinforce the melody, and this can be done in a couple ways. The first way is what is called counterpoint, which, depending who you ask, it can almost be described as like a secondary melody. It generally isn't supposed to like overpower the melody so much. It is kind of just to enhance it by adding like another set of moving sounds underneath. The second way to do harmony is with chords, which are kind of just long notes stacked on top of each other. Now, chords directly affect the chord progression of a song, which is exactly how it sounds. It's kind of just how the chords progress. For the purpose of this presentation, we won't be going into chord progressions, although just know they are like really important in determining like how a song flows and also like what type of mood you want the song to create. But like a good fun example of harmony, I guess, is this track from Celeste. So as you could hear there was kind of like two main sounds. There was like a piano, and then there was also this arpeggiating synth sort of sound. Arpeggiations, or like arpeggios in general, they're honestly like a pretty fun type of harmony in that they can kind of function as chords and counterpoint at the same time, pretty much by just like breaking up a chord into its individual notes and then I guess just like going up through them one at a time. And yeah. All right, now that we've gone through some of the basics of music theory, why don't we move into specifically music in video games? So there are a few advantages of music in video games that you may not often see in like other types of music. Because music generally isn't like the most important aspect, or it's generally not like the most forefront aspect of a video game. There's often a lot of like versatility in how you can, or sorry, in like how you would like to enhance the overall atmosphere or vibe of the game. You can honestly like you can create like an orchestral masterpiece, or you can even just do like a simple chip tune, pretty much. Which actually goes into this next point here, which is that video game music, it doesn't really need to be complex. Beyond that, you don't even really need to like create proper like beginnings or endings to a songs, since video game music is very easily loopable. Um, Yumeniki is actually a really good example of simple loopable music that enhances the vibe of the game. So like I know I mentioned earlier that I trimmed some of these audio clips down for like copyright or like interest reasons, but this clip is actually just like the entire song. It's kind of just this like 7-8 second clip that just repeats throughout the entire like area or level of the game. So it kind of just like that like short simple song. It's really nice to use to like create this sense of simplicity and almost like wonder. And then another really cool thing exclusive to video games is having dynamic or I guess like adaptive music, which pretty much just adjusts to the game in real time, like depending on where the player is or like what they're doing or anything like that. An example I like to use is like one you can easily hear is from Banjo Kazooie, where there's like a lot of levels that you can like dive underwater and do stuff. When you're above water, for example, you'll have like in this level, this song will play. And then if you were to like go underwater, the music would like seamlessly transition to this track. Oh, oopsies. But yeah, you can also hear this in other games, like Devil May Cry, where the music gets like louder and adds like more sounds as you get like higher in rank, stuff like that. So it doesn't have to be limited purely to like going to like different areas and stuff like that. There's a lot of different ways you can dynamically change the music. Now, when it comes to limitations with video game music, honestly, you really don't have any limitations today. Kind of just because computers and sound design technology has improved a lot over the last few decades. But like, say if you are looking to do like a maybe a bit more retro style of game, then there definitely are things that you can consider to, I guess, make it feel more like realistic, so to speak. One thing is that you can consider like the file size of the game itself, because you could not like always have something with too much detail. Songs were either like really short or they were just designed with sound waves that hardly take up any like any real space. Output channels are like another limitation in that like older titles kind of had a limit on the total amount of sounds that could be played at once. It's funny, you can on some platforms you would actually have like a sound effect play that would just kind of cause the music to stop until the sound's finished, which luckily is not really a thing anymore. And then frequency, it's kind of just like mainly referring to how some older audio tech didn't really, like, it couldn't reach as high or low of a pitch. And they also couldn't really like produce as clean or crisp of a sound as you can today. But all of that is to say that did not hold people's creativity back. So like for example, over here is an example of like what an earlier version of like a digital audio workstation looked like. This was created in 1988. These kinds of programs would kind of just like assist with getting sounds into like pretty much like all the older computers and stuff like that. Even like if you were trying to get the sound into like an NES. Speaking of, this song right here, this is from Castlevania, first released in 1986. Now, while it may not sound terribly impressive, it does kind of demonstrate how, like, when you're given certain limitations on the sounds that can be used, you still can create some really, like, fun backing tracks. But, yeah, now we can get into the, I guess, nitty-gritty how to actually make music for games. So, starting off, pretty much any software or hardware needed. For one, you'll need a digital audio workstation, or as I'll refer to it going forward, a DAW. These are basically just like your hubs for making music. You'll be able to do like all your writing, editing, listening, exporting, all that sort of stuff. You can just do it in this one program. Now, depending on your own experience as well as the like sounds you want to have, you can either choose between like virtual or physical instruments. With virtual ones, there's different types. You can do like VSTs, plugins, sound fonts. Pretty much like all these produce different sounds or like add effects to your instruments. With physical ones, those are a bit more, I guess, like at your own discretion and experience level. Like, for instance, there's like instruments like acoustic guitars or, I mean, random percussion. Like I included this picture down here, like there's just a tambourine right there. Pretty much anything that would be like recorded with a microphone. Although there's also like other like electronic instruments, things like keyboards, launch pads, even like you can connect like drum kits to like computers and stuff like that, and those still maintain like the physicality of the real instruments, but they can be like directly integrated into the DAW. All right, now here are just like a couple DAWs that I recommend. Personally, I have not used most of these, but these are like the ones I hear work best, depending on either your finances or what kind of like computer you have. The DAW that I actually started, and unfortunately the one that I also still use to this day, is LMMS. Now, it's nice because it does come with like some built-in sounds and effects. Honestly, it's not like terrible. Like there is a decent amount of sounds you can get in it. And also like it does have a very like sleek sort of UI to it. Although what I'm not a big fan of is that it doesn't really integrate that well with like outside instruments or sounds and stuff like that. Also, it's kind of just like it's pretty unique, which isn't terribly fun if you're looking to like move on to something like a bit more like higher quality. Like if I were to move on to like FL Studio or something, like there's not really a whole lot that like can be transferred. Not many transferable skills can be swapped from LMMS to FL. But definitely the two free ones I hear the best stuff about are Cakewalk and Reaper. From what I understand, they kind of offer like the most flexibility and are also just very good like gateways to move on to like some of the like higher end paid platforms. Otherwise, if you don't really have any money and are, I guess, committed to, or sorry, otherwise, if you do have the money and are committed to composition, then I would recommend looking into kind of like these four down here, FL, Ableton, Cubase, Logic, just because you're going to get like a lot more high quality features, more versatility, and I believe some, if not all of these, do come with a lot of like pre-installed like high quality sounds and effects. Now for some virtual instruments. Truthfully, there's like probably about like a million different kinds of sounds, instruments, and plugins that you can find online. A lot of them are free if you just look hard enough, but I thought I would kind of just share the ones that have been most effective for me personally and are also free, luckily. So first up is Splice Instrument. It was formerly known as Spitfire Labs. I really like this one. It's really nice program that kind of just lets you get like these high quality, like very nice realistic sounding instruments. It also has some really nice synth sounds to it. Complete Control is another like similar in vein. It's kind of like a jack of all trades program. Comes with a lot of free instruments, sounds, and I think a couple of effects as well. There's like a handful of ways you can modify some of the sounds in there, so it's definitely like a lot of versatility to it. Finisher Micro. This is an effect plugin. It comes with like a nice handful of different kinds of like effects, whether you want to make something like really echoey, you want to make it like really distorted, even if you want to add like a flanger to it or something like that, so on and so on. There's like, I don't remember the exact number, but there's a lot of different types of effects you can mess around with on that. OTT, or over the top, as I believe it's called, it's a type of like compression effect. It's another plugin. Depending who you ask, some people either think this is the best thing you can include in every song, or it is the worst thing to include. Personally, I'm a very big fan of it because I think it makes your sound just pop a lot more. Although I can understand like if you want your sound to be like maybe a bit more mellow or like a little more quiet, then it may not be entirely your thing. Now, lastly is the SGM sound font. This is a sound font used in like a lot of older titles from like around the N64 era, and it also is used a lot by Toby Fox in his games Undertale and Deltarune. It's like a pretty nice MIDI style instrument. Comes with like a lot of simple sounding instruments, but overall it can be made to sound like pretty nice quality. Now for finding your sound. The way that I like to consider writing music for games is kind of just like, what is the vibe that I'm trying to match? Usually, like a good way to match the vibe, so to speak, is seeing if there are like any other styles that might be what you would like to emulate, or if there's like similar songs with a similar style you like. You can think about like what mood do you want the player to evoke. Do you want them to feel like a bit more calm? Do you want them to feel like a sense of adventure? Even do you want to like scare them? Anything like that? It really is like a wide array of what you want the player to feel. And then instrumentation, I guess, just do you want the music to sound like more retro? Do you want it to sound like hyper realistic? Or maybe you even want something like somewhere in between. And then, do you want the music to be something really complex, or do you just want it to be something that blends into the background and is pretty simple? Again, a lot of versatility between either of those. Over here, I actually just included 3 different open world games. Red Dead Redemption 2, Breath of the Wild, Cyberpunk 2077. These are 3 of the most popular open world games, yet their sounds are not really that similar. They kind of do vary in terms of like overall sound. So like Red Dead, it features like a lot of Western style sounds. Western style sounds, kind of like acoustic guitars, banjos, fiddles, vocals. But there's also like some more intense, almost like cinematic style tracks. And then like Breath of the Wild, it sort of revolves around a lot of more fantasy inspired music. Often feels like relatively calm. Just like Red Dead, it also has some pretty like exciting symphonic like tracks that can keep like the energy really high. And then Cyberpunk is actually a bit of a almost like a departure from that, like the other two, in terms of like acoustic sounds. and it more so revolves around these darker like synth sounds to maintain its ambience. But all this is kind of just to say that there is no one size fits all for any type of like game genre, and you can really just like explore what sounds fit your theme, kind of just I guess as you see fit. All right, and now for just like a couple extra things I wanted to include here at the end, specifically in relation to video game music. Both of these things are kind of just optional, fun things you can consider if you're looking to do something different. If you're looking to like demonstrate how like video game music can be very versatile. So like leitmotifs, they're like these recurring sound patterns that can connect to specific characters, events, ideas within the game, pretty much anything. Generally, they tend to be like melodies, although you can have like certain rhythms or I guess beat patterns be used as leitmotifs. As you can see over here, Undertale is a game that uses a lot of leitmotifs, another game that I'm also a very big fan of. But really, yeah, whoopsies. Sorry, I think I lost my spot. My apologies. Okay, so yeah, Undertale, it uses a lot of leitmotifs. Kind of just like it helps to create the sense of like all of these tracks are connected to these different areas and like characters, which is pretty fun to like consider in terms of like artistic inclusion. And then lyrics and vocals, honestly, they aren't common in video games. But that doesn't mean they're like off the table, and honestly, they can be another like kind of just fun thing to include. I mean, you see titles like Devil May Cry and Persona, they rely pretty heavily on vocals in their music, and then there's also other games like GTA and Fallout, which kind of just use like actual licensed music in their games. But I guess when it comes to making your own, there are like a couple different vocal options. Of course, you can like record your own vocals, although something not usually considered is you can also like sample existing voice clips or vocals. Now, the legality of this is perhaps a little questionable, a bit questionable depending on how you get your audio. Although I do think it is a fun thing to consider, and it can also just be like a fun thing to do in your free time. Now, lastly, still on the topic of vocals, or vocal synths. You have programs like Vocaloid, Utao. Again, you really don't see these like in video games a whole lot specifically, although kind of like as mentioned before, there really shouldn't be any reason as to why you can't include them. Yeah. Over here I kind of just included another example. This is like the Utao interface, so you can just like see how it works, kind of. But yeah, now that we are there, why don't we do a quick songwriting activity? So for this activity, actually, let me just ask you guys, since it looks like there's only two other people here. Do either of you happen to have like a DAW of your own?
Nope.
I have GarageBand on my phone.
Let's go.
Wonderful. That's perfect, actually. So for this activity, I was actually thinking. I found this other program. This is like a browser-based one.
Is it Soundtrap?
It is Chrome Music Lab's Songmaker.
Let's go.
I'm just gonna paste this
Oh.
into the meeting gen so you guys can get the link. But yeah, this is. I think it's a fun little thing to just mess around with. Super simple. You don't need to download anything. You can kind of just like mess around with sounds and stuff like that. So I guess I can quickly just like run through how this works, kind of. So you have like these. I guess like this is all of these. This space up here. This is where like the notes can go. So you can be like up there, and then down here. This is the like the percussion part. So you can do like bass hits. You can do
Bass hits.
snare. And then down here you can actually change like the instruments. So if you want to do earlier it was set the marimba sound, but if you want to do like piano, strings, woodwind, synth. Oops. And then there's also same thing for like the drums. There's a couple different preset like drum things you can do. You can change the tempo down here. Yeah, and then there's a couple like setting things. You can change like the length of how long you want the song to go. For this activity, I was thinking we would probably just do like a simple 8-bar thing. Or if you don't want to do 8 bars, you can also just do like anything under like 30 seconds. I think that should be fine. And yeah, I was thinking we could do like a theme of some sort. So do you guys have like any theme ideas, recommendations?
Uh,
My mind blanked, except for the word bacon.
Bacon. All right, I can work with that. What else is there? You can do like water. Evil. Vampire. Christmas. I'm just coming up with words at this point.
No. If you hit Christmas, you have to spin again.
All right, then.
well, I suppose November is Christmas.
Okay. Is Thanksgiving music a thing?
No.
Okay.
Wait, maybe.
You know what? I think it'd be fun to possibly. Computers. Yeah, that's about. That's like all I can kind of think of. Any other ideas? All right. So let's see. What theme do we land on? I like how big evil is. Oh my gosh. I didn't actually think this was gonna win. That's crazy. I kind of just. I think I said this because I was thinking about Castlevania from earlier. But yeah, I guess for this song, the theme is gonna be vampire. So, you're welcome to like kind of mess around with any of these sounds and settings in here. I was thinking just like a quick 10 minutes would be good to come up with a song. What do you guys think?
Might need like 15 or something.
For sure.
Alright.
All right. Well, if
Alright.
that's it, then I guess we can get started.
Alright.
I just realized I forgot to chime in at 10 minutes, but we are now down to about like just over 5 minutes.
Wait, 5 minutes left, or
Yeah, about 5.5 minutes left.
okay?
If we do need more time, I can also extend it a little bit. I think
Right.
I may also need more time. Oh, hello, Solomon.
Hello.
We are currently making tunes in the Chrome Music Lab.
Cool. Is that like a collaborative thing or
It's like a browser-based sort of music maker. It's really simple.
so it's just like each of you doing it separately. It's not like a group thingy.
Yeah,
All right, I think I finished mine.
perfect, perfect.
I think mine's done too.
Yeah, the timer actually just went off, so that's really perfect timing. Okay, so when you guys are ready, there should be like a in the bottom right corner. There's like a save button.
Oh,
I think if you
Oh,
do that, it'll give you like a link, and then you can just like copy and paste the link into the meeting general.
okay. Wait, hold up. I gotta open Discord on my laptop. Uh, be honest, I didn't entirely know what to do for Vampire.
Yeah, I I didn't really know what to do either. I kind of just made a song, I guess,
Yeah.
but
I didn't know you could make it longer.
oh yeah, there's like a few settings you can just mess around
Oh,
with. You can like change the length, the how many beats are in it. I guess how small each note is.
ah.
But yeah. So this is what I sort of came up with. It wasn't too crazy. Mainly just
Uh,
like lots of repeating sounds and stuff like that. All right, so let's see. Blongite. Let's see yours.
Alright. Just saying, I didn't look at the settings option at all until like the very end.
No worries, no worries. Very nice, very nice. I like the.
Yeah.
Oh, I like lots of use of chords. Very nice, very nice. All right, next up, B. Let's see yours.
alright. Um, I forgot I forgot I could loop it until like the last minute, and I decided I'm just not gonna.
No worries, no worries. Let's see, let's see. That was, oh my
Just banging
gosh.
out the tunes.
That was really nice. I like the this like what do you call this, like descending part.
The chromatic scale.
Yeah, that's
I
very
think it's a crescendo.
yeah, I think something like that. Um yeah, very well done everyone. Very well, very well. I guess I can also share mine in the Discord. But yeah, with that being done, that's kind of all I really planned. I guess if you guys want, you can like, if you're interested in continuing with like music development and stuff like that, you can like take these like tracks that you made here and you can expand on them, like using different sounds or like in perhaps a DAW that is a bit more higher quality than this. But yeah, if we don't have like any questions or anything, that's pretty much all I had planned. Yeah. Thank you guys all so much for attending.